and he was, what, barely 23 years old,
Mm,
a rookie stockbroker named Trent Dursmid working out of Abbotsford, Canada.
right. And Abbotsford is not exactly Wall Street.
Not even close.
Yeah.
But somehow, within 18 months, this kid is bringing in $5 million to the firm.
Mm-hmm.
So you immediately think, okay, he must have some secret algorithm, right? Something super complicated.
And that's what's so surprising. The mechanism he used had absolutely nothing to do with finance. It was purely a behavioral strategy. He called it the paperclip strategy.
The paperclip strategy. Okay, let's unpack that because the setup itself is just brilliantly simple.
It really is. He had two big glass jars on his desk. One was full of 120 paperclips.
Just standard paperclips.
Yep. And the second jar was completely empty. And his rule for himself was that he was not allowed to stop working for the day until he had moved every single one of those clips from the full jar into the empty one.
And the action that made him move a clip was, wait, what?
Every time he finished a sales call, it didn't matter if it was a success or if they hung up on him, he just moved one paperclip. That physical action, that was it. That was the only proof he needed that he'd put in the work. 120 calls every single day.
That is an insane number of calls. But the genius is in that visual feedback, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's taking this abstract, often really soul-crushing job and making it tangible.
Instantly tangible and rewarding. We crave that immediate feedback. When he moved that paperclip, his brain got a tiny little hit of satisfaction right in that moment.
You're not waiting for a commission check at the end of the month.
Exactly. You get a little reward every few minutes, and that just reinforces the behavior. It's a very primal thing.
And you really do see versions of this everywhere. I know writers who move a hairpin for every page they finish, or people who move a marble after a set of push-ups.
It's the same psychological fuel. It's why loyalty punch cards work. It's that satisfaction of seeing a progress bar inching its way to 100%.
They all use that visual measurement to keep you going.
And the most basic, kind of boiled down version of this, of the paperclip strategy, is just the habit tracker.
The ultimate low-tech tool.
At its core, a habit tracker is just a record. It's a simple measure of whether you did the thing you said you were going to do. Usually you just mark an X on a calendar.
You build a visual streak.
And this idea is ancient. I mean, think about Benjamin Franklin. He carried a little booklet around to track 13 personal virtues every single day. He started when he was just 20.
And then there's the famous modern example, Jerry Seinfeld.
Of course. His whole philosophy was just never break the chain.
Don't break the chain.
And what's so important about that, whether it's Franklin or Seinfeld, is that the focus shifts completely away from the quality of what you're doing. It doesn't matter if the joke is good or bad.
The only thing that matters is showing up.
Just showing up. Just adding one more X to that visual chain.
And that separation process from performance, that's what makes it so powerful. Focusing on making $5 million feels impossible. But focusing on just moving one paperclip right now.
That's manageable. And it compounds. Every paperclip, every X, it's a small investment in your future self.
So let's really break down why this is so effective. It feels intuitive, but there's some deep behavioral science at play here.
Absolutely. There are really three major benefits. The first is that tracking makes the habit obvious.
How so? How does it make it obvious?
It turns an idea into a concrete visual cue. That streak of X's on your calendar becomes a trigger. It's a visual reminder to act again tomorrow. Your brain just loves clear signals like that. You see the chain, you want to continue the chain.
And there's actual research that shows this leads to real results.
The evidence is really robust. Study after study shows that people who track their progress on goals, weight loss, quitting smoking, whatever it is, are just far more likely to succeed.
I remember seeing a statistic about food logging that was just mind-blowing.
That specific one, yeah. It was a huge study, over 1,600 people. It found that the participants who kept a daily food log lost twice as much weight as those who didn't.
Twice as...
And they didn't even have to change what they were eating at first. Just the act of measuring it created the desire to change it.
Which ties right into the second benefit,
Yeah.
which I think is a psychological superpower, and it keeps you honest.
We all suffer from this kind of behavioral blindness. We think we act better than we do. We feel like we ate healthy. But memory is tricky.
It's very selective.
But measurement cuts through all that. When Trent Dursmid looks at his desk and sees 80 clips still sitting in that first jar, the evidence is right there. It's undeniable. You can't lie to the paper clips.
And that brings us to the motivational piece. If you're doing well, the tracking itself becomes attractive.
Because progress is, hands down, the most powerful form of motivation there is. Every one of those X's is a small win, and those wins feed your desire to keep going.
That's so crucial on the bad days.
It is. When you feel tired or unmotivated, you can look at that long chain of X's you've already built. That visual proof of your hard work becomes this powerful reason not to give up. You don't want to throw all that away for one moment of weakness.
It becomes almost addictive in its own right, just the desire to maintain the momentum.
Exactly. The focus shifts from the huge, distant goal to the immediate, satisfying one of just adding one more X today.
Okay, so this all sounds great, but let's be real. Most of us, and I'm including myself here, have started a habit tracker with all this enthusiasm only to just abandon it a week later.
Hmm.
If it's so great, why is it so hard to stick with?
The resistance is high because tracking feels like a burden. I mean, when you decide to start a new habit, you're actually taking on two habits.
The thing itself and then the tracking of the thing.
Precisely. For someone who's already struggling to start a new diet, the idea of also having to count every single calorie feels like a huge hassle. It's just easier to say, I'll try harder tomorrow.
So friction is the enemy. So what are the practical, real-world ways to minimize that friction?
The first, and maybe the most powerful, is to automate whenever you can. We are surrounded by passive tracking.
Right. Your watch tracks your steps. Your phone tracks your sleep.
Your banking app tracks your spending. Your calendar tracks your appointments. So instead of forcing yourself to log new data every day, the habit becomes just reviewing the data that's already being collected for you.
That's a clever way to frame it. The habit isn't data entry, it's data review.
And that leads to the second solution, which is to limit your manual tracking. You have to prioritize.
Don't try to track 10 things at once.
Whoa! You're just setting yourself up for burnout. It is so much better to consistently track one important habit than to sporadically track 10. Just focus your effort where you'll get the biggest return.
Okay, so you've picked your one habit. How do you make the actual act of tracking it less of a chore?
That's the third solution. You record it immediately using habit stacking. You link the tracking to the habit itself.
The classic formula. After I do my habit, I will track my habit.
Yes. For Duursmet, it was, after I hang up the phone, I will move one paperclip. For a writer, after I finish the page, I will move the hairpin. For your diet, after I put my plate in the dishwasher, I will log the meal.
The end of the first task becomes the trigger for the second. It's almost seamless.
You try to make it as automatic as possible.
But even with the best system, life happens. You get sick, you travel, an emergency comes up, the streak is going to break. What's the recovery plan for when that happens?
The recovery plan is probably the single most important rule in all of habit formation, and it's beautifully simple. Never miss twice.
Okay, but why is the second miss so much more dangerous? I mean, if the streak is broken, it's broken, right?
Because the first miss is an accident. It's an anomaly. You missed a day because you had the flu. Fine. But the second miss, that's the beginning of a new negative pattern.
It's a new habit.
It's a start of a new habit. Missing once is an action. Missing twice is an identity shift. Successful people don't fail less, they just get back on track way faster. The length of the lapse matters so much more than the lapse itself.
And this is where so many people fall into that all-or-nothing trap.
All or nothing cycle, yes.
Because the streak is broken, they use it as an excuse to just quit entirely. They think if they can't do the full workout or eat the perfect meal, they shouldn't bother at all.
And that mindset just completely ignores the math of compounding. Charlie Munger had that great line. The first rule of compounding, never interrupt it unnecessarily. Every day you miss really hurts your future gains.
Avoiding a big loss is often more valuable than getting a small gain.
Absolutely. So on those days when you feel awful, when you have zero energy, the mantra is simple. Don't put up a zero.
Do something. Anything.
Anything. The goal isn't performance on those days. The goal is just maintenance. It's about identity. If you plan an hour-long run and all you can manage is 5 minutes of stretching, you do the 5 minutes. You still showed up. You're still the type of person who doesn't miss workouts.
That brings us to a potential dark side of all this tracking, though. We can get so focused on the number that we lose sight of the purpose behind it. We start measuring the wrong thing.
This is the major pitfall. I mean, think about a restaurant. If the chef's only metric is daily revenue, he might start cutting the quality of the ingredients to maximize profit.
The numbers look great, but the business is actually dying.
Right. The metric is masking the real health of the business. You're optimizing for the number, often at the expense of what you actually value.
So that's basically Goodhart's law in action.
That's a perfect definition of it. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure.
You see it in schools. when teachers are forced to teach to the test.
And you sacrifice critical thinking. Or in companies that track hours as a proxy for productivity, and so people just start working inefficiently to fill the time, the moment the metric becomes the target, you incentivize people to game the metric.
And there is a real cultural bias here. We tend to overvalue things we can easily count: steps, calories, dollars, and we undervalue the things that are harder to measure.
Things like creative satisfaction, or your quality of sleep, or your sense of purpose. Just because you can measure something doesn't mean it's the most important thing.
So if you realize you've become obsessed with a number that isn't really serving your goal, like the number on the scale just isn't moving, how do you fix that? How do you course correct?
Sometimes the best strategy is to deliberately shift your focus to what people call non-scale victories.
Okay, what would that look like?
If the scale is just causing you anxiety, stop looking at it for a month. Instead, focus on other signs of progress. Are you waking up with more energy? Do your clothes fit better? Has your skin cleared up?
Those are things you can't really put an X on a chart for, but they're stronger signals of real change.
They're much stronger motivational signals because they connect directly to the real goal, which is health and quality of life, not just a number. Shifting your focus like that ensures you're still casting votes for the person you want to become, even if the main number is being stubborn.
Which brings us right back to where we started. Whether it's moving 120 paper clips or just marking an X on a calendar, habit tracking is this simple, powerful tool. It gives you clear, satisfying proof of progress, that immediate little reward for just doing the work.
And in the end, I think the greatest reward is just that visual proof, day after day, that you are consistently casting votes for the type of person you wish to become. That daily affirmation of your identity. That's the real power of the chain.